All right, folks, bring them over, bring them over. We need a lot of those. Put them down here, yeah. Yeah, right here. What? Did you miss the memo? It's the 4th stage of the Overwatch League season. It's tradition to sandbag. After 4 seasons, I thought you'd know.
Of course, I'm really happy that we got the win and we didn't get a winless season, but it's also kind of sad.
Same, Hardy. Same. Another marathon of a season came to an end, with the top teams in each region locking in their #1 spots early. The Dragons and the Fuel slimmed down on their practice schedule to freshen up for the postseason. With a lot to still be played in the ranks below, it was finally time for the field to fill up their bag in Hawaii. Moreover, most of the teams were still in a position to play for something, either looking to directly qualify for the playoffs by sliding into one of the top spots, slipping into the play-ins, or even just getting their first victory of the season. The majority of teams in the Overwatch League had to put the pedal to the metal on the final stretch of the season, giving it almost European Sports League vibes. A team that had their work cut out for them were the Florida Mayhem. Still technically in the running for play-ins, sitting in 9th place, a match schedule containing the Atlanta Reign, Boston Uprising, Houston Outlaws, and the Los Angeles Gladiators proved too much for the Mayhem. Not going out without a fight, and with their main tank OG back, the first week looked promising for Florida, taking the Reign close and beating the direct competitor for the play-in slot, Boston Uprising. Playing with more confidence and flexibility on their picks, OG stated that Head Coach KuKi gave him the room and trust to choose his own heroes, which appeared to be helping the team stay agile. Unfortunately for the Mayhem, the opposition would prove too much to handle, with a roller coaster of a season coming to an end. From Hawaii in May to an early holiday in August, what might sting the most is the fact that the Mayhem made it 5 times to map 5 this season, not winning a single one of those matches, and losing out on play-ins just by 1 league point below the Uprising. Talking about single league points, the notorious Brad Bowl between the Vancouver Titans and the London Spitfire turned out to be every bit as entertaining as projected. While Boston Uprising had allowed the fun to be spoiled a little bit by losing to the Titans in week 2, in the end, the match still turned out to be a fight to avoid last place in the rankings in the North American region. Where sticks and stones may hurt my neurons. Might not rhyme, but still true. What a game it turned out to be. Going down the wire and finally giving the Spitfire their first and only victory of the season, ending their 27-game-long loss streak spanning back to July 2020 in Season 3. Sorry, Shanghai Dragons. Your 0-42 streak is probably one for eternity. Beyond teams finally succeeding, Countdown Cup was once again a victory for the importance of team flavor over a prescribed and seemingly definitive meta. Starting in June Joust and continuing into Summer Showdown, Shanghai Dragons and to an extent Chengdu Hunters made it look like that Wrecking Ball would be the end-all be-all of all tank choices, forcing every composition to a dive archetype. And teams like Dallas Fuel worked diligently to catch up, despite having one of the crispest Winston dive setups in the league. Perhaps the nature of the bans, perhaps a strategic breakthrough. The NYXL delivered an upset victory to the Dragons, running a lot of Winston dive despite Shanghai seemingly taking the match seriously by fielding an entire A-team.
Dragons do not have this by any stretch of the imagination just yet. Now it's Void under heavy pressure as Yaki gets isolated. Yak Puck found him in the back, and now Fate in danger. Void himself.
According to Season 1 MVP and NYXL Flex support Jonak, Winston Dive remains a viable choice to beat ball costs.
The key players for the Winston compositions is definitely how the Winston player plays and also how the Ana player plays. We're confident in that both Yakpong and myself are both really proficient in these two heroes, so no reason not to use it.
An entirely different approach came at the hands of Atlanta Reign, who stuck to their guns and continued to play Gator on his signature Reinhardt and Orisa. Despite their seemingly defensive hero choices, Atlanta remained in their opponents' faces at all times and secured another flight to Hawaii, even winning the opening game against the Seoul Dynasty. Having to stay home due to surgery, Atlanta Reign's Pelican troopered through the first match on 170 ping and looked every bit as impressive as we're used to from him. Unfortunately, in the match against the Gladiators, due to technical limitations forcing the server location to put him at 240 ping disadvantage, the Reign had to pull their star player in favor to win Rookie of the Year. Nevertheless, their stage provided proof of concept that staying true to themselves strategically was a viable option for them. The team had been criticized for not adjusting to the ball meta in the same way teams like the Fuel had tried during Countdown Cup, making Hawk tweet, "People call us delusional for not playing dive, but everyone else is delusional thinking they will beat APAC in dive mirror anyway, if you're not Dallas." If you're not Dallas, Or apparently if you're not the Los Angeles Gladiators. finally making good on their potential promise both from on-paper strength and scrim results. The Gladiators finally brought it together and won their first Overwatch League title in franchise history. 4 years into being sometimes more, sometimes less so, one of the top teams in the league. Especially Dpei, the longest-standing head coach in the Overwatch League, and the only one to have been with their team in the position since the start of the league, had been questioned for his team's lack of success, despite always having stacked rosters to work with every season. The Gladiators once again had a star-studded roster in Season 4 made up of some of the best players of past seasons. It's therefore as ironic as it is impressive that the missing piece in Gladiators' puzzle appeared to be skewed. A player that not many other Overwatch League teams seriously considered picking up, speaking volumes about Dpei's and his team's scouting ability. It should be noted just how much trust in their own and Skewed's abilities it must have taken for him to start him over Moth, the arguably best main support in Overwatch League history. Had Skewed been any less than stellar on break, which he unarguably was this season, the backlash for Dpei would have likely been severe, potentially to the point of threatening his job security. Thankfully, the Gladiators came through, beating the Chengdu Hunters in the grand finals of Countdown Cup, a match that turned out to be one of the closest finals in Overwatch League history, delivering one of the clutchest plays of all time. Keeping the Gladiators on match point for 2 maps after the score hit 3-1, Chengdu picked up momentum on map 5 and 6, tying the game at 3-3 going into Havana. With incredible effort, Chengdu held the Gladiators just before capping C, giving themselves a direct win condition on their attack. Rolling through second with point B close to captured and 2 minutes left on the clock, the Hunters are sitting pretty on the card as the first fight breaks out. Trading blows with the Chinese team gaining a numbers advantage and sending the Gladiators frontline back to spawn, the fight is now all but won for Chengdu, with Jinwoo saving his blade for the final push. Gladiators' chances at this time to win the grand final were looking grim until this one fateful moment. Shu has played an outstanding Baptiste this season. Have you seen his solo kills per 10? He's like doubling everyone else's number. He just uses window for himself and then he just beams people. In 7 out of 10 cases, the Chengdu Hunters win that map based on momentum and Jinwoo having an ult advantage on top of their remaining time back. In 9 out of 10 multiverses, the Hunters win that fight if Jinwoo pulls his blade. Evidently, we are not part of any of those other worlds. Instead, we are in Shu's reality, created by his Infinity Stones. The signs of his lethality on Baptiste had always been there all season. His ability to turn fights had been well demonstrated. And yet, to see it happen in a make-or-break situation, in a grand final of a tournament with everything on the line, is something else entirely. Underlining his MVP nomination, Shu conjured up one of the most breathtakingly clutch moments in Overwatch history, on a role that had rarely shined this season. Serving an entree for the postseason, the Los Angeles Gladiators entered the playoffs as one of the favorites, and your deserved Countdown Cup champion.